I am a unique human being with my own thoughts and free will, allegedly, so I'm gonna join every single other content creator on the platform right now when it comes to Raid Shadow Legends, and I am going to react to the new sneak
Hey
peek
everyone,
update they just
update
announced. Hopefully the audio level is
8.60
good.
is almost here, so it's time for our regular sneak peek at what we've been working on. Let's dive in. First up, we're introducing a 5th divinity, Harmony. Like the other divinities, there'll be 6 new blessings.
One thing I want to say real quick, these new blessings do look like they are going to be a net positive for the game. I'm a little disappointed though that they're bringing out new blessings while some of the older ones are still incredibly broken, like of course Polymorph. Everybody still hates it. It's a net negative, I would say, for the arena and live arena and tag team arena, which is where you mainly see it. You're not really dealing with Polymorph too much in PvE. So I would have liked to have seen Polymorph a little bit reworked, or possibly even a buff, dare I say it? Sorry, not a buff. A nerf, Plarium, a nerf. I meant a nerf.
Focused on healing and strengthening your team using the power of nature. Far out, man. One of the new rare blessings is called Nourish, and it'll improve the strength of continuous heal buffs placed by the wearer, and restore any destroyed max HP for good measure. Pretty sweet, right? Well,
I think this blessing is good. The only thing to be aware of with this is it seems like so far it's just going to restore the max HP based on the continuous heal. And with a lot of champions, especially champions that are rare level, which is the level of the blessing it is, they don't have a whole lot of HP, so it's not going to be widely used, I would say, unless you're looking at very specific examples like Tree Shield Knot or something like that. But
Harmony
let's
isn't
continue.
all about peace and love. One of the epic blessings, called Neutralize, will grant a chance to land debuffs through poison.
Very excited for this one. Very excited for this.
And the legendary blessing, Cracking Roots, will increase a champion's damage against targets with Stone Skin.
I watched Tell Hades react to this, and he mentioned at this point right here that if you can see Duchess, she has the stone skin on her, right? And it's like full. And then Timbit, the guy who's like over here supposedly nuking them or showcasing, you know, the actual blessing that they're talking about, he does his thing and he does like no damage to her. And the stone skin, it's like down a tiny little bit, but like the damage is just so insignificant that I don't think anybody's really going to use this blessing in all honesty. Because like you can see there how little her stone skin actually moved. So that's what, like maybe a 10th at the most. So we're going to need to take 10 to 1 turns just to get the stone skin off. Like, I think the meta is still going to be to build slower than the enemy with your stone skin, especially your nukers, just so their stone skin falls off first. Like that's been the way to do it for quite some time. I think that's definitely going to continue, just slow, tanky builds in stone skin.
Harmonious boons for everyone. Keep your eyes peeled for more details. We'll be posting a full infographic with all 6 blessings in our update highlights on our official forum and social media. Update 8.60 also answers a long-standing community request: the ability to make gear presets. When you use the
overall, I think gear sets are a net positive. Let's go ahead and see what they got planned.
Favorite combinations of artifacts and accessories for quick and easy use. Just fill out the slots with the artifacts or accessories you're trying on and tap the save button. But there's more to it than that. You'll be able to choose whether you want to save your choice as a champion preset or a global preset. As you might have guessed, champion presets are locked to specific champions, while global presets can be equipped by any champion in your collection. Artifacts and accessories will have separate presets, and you'll be able to switch between them by tapping on their respective icons. Once you've saved a preset, you can then switch up your champion's gear with a few simple taps. Now, we know that changing gear can leave you short on silver, but
I had to sneeze there. Sorry about that.
A little something to help with that. We're introducing.
So, before we go to this, like, bullshit item, frankly, that's going to allow us to do free gear changes or whatnot, this particular update here, I am a huge fan of. These gear presets are going to allow you to start using champions in the game that might have been content locked previously. So what I mean by that is, for example, Demitha, Thane, Bouchon, Seeker, and Eris on my account are all just content locked to Clan Boss right now. I don't touch their gear. I don't move their gear in any way because that gear is specifically speed tuned and formulated to work in my Clan Boss teams. If I can do presets where I can then switch the gear over and take my Demitha into Iron Twins, for example, or Sand Devils, or, you know, a stage in Cintranos, something like that. That is going to be huge, especially for newer players that might not have the same roster that we do. So, for example, if you just have one really good legendary on your account and you built them out for Clan Boss, but you want to use them as an arena nuker too, this is going to allow you to do that. And of course, they are introducing an item that's going to let you switch your gear for free, but do keep in mind that we do get free gear resets or free gear removal at certain points during the month anyways, right? So I think this is still going to be useful for everyone if you're trying to push and beat harder content that you haven't quite yet.
Gear can leave you short on silver, but we've got a little something to help with that. We're introducing the free gear removal booster, which can be earned from hard difficulty stages in the Cursed City. When activated from your inbox, these boosters will, you guessed it, completely reduce the amount of silver it takes to remove gear. Activate a booster and use the limited time window to swap out as much gear as possible and conquer new stages.
I think this is a good idea, but I do wish it was longer than 1 or 3 hours. I wish it was maybe 24 or 48 hours. That would be quite nice, because realistically, you're going to take a lot of time to rebuild a champion, especially if you don't know specifically what you're looking for, or if you're trying to speed tune a comp, right? So for example, if you're rebuilding your Clan Boss team, that's essentially going to be that whole 1 hour window eaten up, unfortunately.
Oh, and one more thing. We're also adding the Hide Set Filters button to the accessories menu, so you can browse and equip to your heart's content. The next
This is massive, by the way. Hiding the filters, this is incredible, because you're going to be able to finally filter for reaction or, you know, stone skin accessories, those sorts of things. We still can't search by set, unfortunately, but we can still at least see it divided down below the rest of the accessories, which is quite nice. At this point in the game, though, at least for myself, I'm starting to move towards like mainly just special set accessories as opposed to regular accessories, because they're just infinitely better, right? So I don't have a whole lot of regular gear left, but this is still going to be a very nice update for sure.
Accessories menu, so you can browse and equip to your heart's content. The next major part of this update will bring something we've been promising for a while. It's time for balance changes to Raid's toughest dungeons, the Iron Twins Fortress, the Sand Devil's Necropolis, and the Phantom Shogun's Grove. We've turned down the dials on the Iron Twins, nerfing this killing machine's total HP, defense, resistance, and most importantly, accuracy. It'll be a lot easier to resist those nasty Iron Brand debuffs and land your own. Speaking of Iron Brand, we're reducing the amount of stacks applied by the Fires of Insanity and Ruinous Swath skills. We're also reducing how often the Iron Twins activate the Retaliatory Launch skill. Instead of 4 times, it'll only happen when the Iron Twins' HP drops below 80%, 60%, and 40% of their max HP.
I think this is a big change. So making the boss less tanky, making him do less damage overall, that is fantastic. The Retaliatory Launch was definitely a big part of his kit that would mess up some of the speed tunes and the comps. Right now, you're pretty much just running Geomancer or Ninja to do this boss quickly, so I do hope that the reduction of the Retaliatory Launches will allow you to bring in some additional nukers. Just straight up damage dealers would be quite nice, especially since he has less HP now too. It's going to be able to hit, you're going to be able to hit and take him down a lot quicker. I don't think necessarily enemy max HP nukers are the way to go, because as you could see when Newt was doing his hits there, he still wasn't doing a whole lot of damage. So I think just hard hitting, ignore defense champions, maybe somebody like, for example, a oh god, I can't think of her name, the Void champion that Saf is always on about, Whisper, there we go, that champion, I think she could do pretty well here, or any sort of boss killing champion like that. So it's very cool to see what kind of strategies will open up.
Offensive capabilities reduced. Time for Anime to face the Nerf bat. Get it? Bat? Anyway, he's also getting a significant decrease to all of his stats except attack and speed. And we're increasing his slumber counter as well.
Big thing to call out here. Listen to this.
A decrease to all of his stats except attack and speed. And we're
except attack and speed. So what is nice about this is any sort of a speed tune that you already have. So if you are successfully farming stage 25 with your, you know, your God Seekers and your ninjas, or your God Seeker and whoever else you want to bring with her, or your Blizzard solos, those sorts of things, it is still going to work from what they've said so far. The only thing that might throw it off is the accuracy and the resistance thresholds, because my God Seeker, for example, is predicated essentially for the most part on having the decreased speed on her to help get the speed tune quite right. So if she starts resisting that, it could be an issue, but having the speed stay the same is going to be so nice, because I was very worried that they would break existing teams and we'd have to spend time re-gearing, spend silver re-gearing, all that sort of stuff. So I think overall this was a very good change.
We're increasing his slumber counter as well. Sand Devils still need the beauty sleep, At lower stages, the slumber counter will increase to 16, and at higher stages, it's now 8, so you've got plenty of hits to get your debuffs in. That's not all, though. Al-Namei will now only destroy 5% of your champion's max HP instead of 10%. And we're reducing Rest for the Wicked's damage reduction by 15% for each debuff instead of 10%. Essentially, you'll survive longer and hit harder. Win-win. Then there's Akumori.
I think this is a win with one caveat. Chronicler Adlin. If you've seen my video on her, I called out how terrible she was. And they said, oh, don't worry. We're going to redo Sand Devils, and when we do, she will be a good champion for the Sand Devils. So just hold tight, dear. That didn't happen. None of these changes are going to help us use Chronicler Adlin in the Sand Devils Cove. So, or Sand Devils, whatever it's called. So I think overall that champion is still pretty bad, and I'm a little disappointed that they didn't do something to make her kit a little bit more relevant or make her just a little bit better for the Sand Devil as a whole, because that's what she's supposed to be a specialist for. And realistically, even late game, nobody's going to switch off the team that they have if they have a Godseeker and a Ninja. The whole point of this Redux was to essentially open up the option for other teams, or not make it so, you know, confined to the one composition. And I don't think from what they've said so far that they're really going to have achieved that. It's essentially just going to help you survive longer, maybe place more debuffs, those sorts of things, need less speed, but at the end of the day, you're going to need the same champions to complete this content, because you either have to cheese it with somebody like a Godseeker, or you have to place the sleep debuff on the boss and then get your hits in when he's slept. That being said, Chronicler Adlin was pretty bad before. Only had some niche use here, so she didn't really get a buff from this. That's the one thing I wanted to call out, since I took such a harsh stance on her previously. My opinion has definitely not changed on that whatsoever.
Ori the Phantom Shogun. This poor Spectral Warlord is getting his stats nerfed the hardest. Ouch. His Purge the Shadow skill has been changed, so now you can remove up to 10 stacks of the Shade counter for every 3 hits, depending on a champion's awakening level. Akumori's Shroud of the Shogun passive is also changing, so it now grants him less Shade stacks for every weak hit champions land on him. To make matters worse for Akumori, the number of Shade stacks that he needs for each immunity or buff has been increased by 10. Exercise your power and send this ghost on to the afterlife. There is one small catch with these rebalances. These new stats will only affect them in their dungeons. The Iron Twins and Al-Namei will still be as powerful as they were before when you're facing them in the Cursed City. Well,
this makes sense. They want the Cursed City to be mainly for people who have mythical champions and such, especially, you know, City of Centranos hard. It makes sense that they're not going to nerf them, because the whales were getting through the content perfectly fine. So they're going to make the regular players have a bit easier time in the regular content. And of course, the people who have the mythicals or the fantastically +4 champions are still going to be able to do the Centranos hard. So that's perfectly fine. We didn't really expect to see anything else along that front. But I would say overall, this is a good update for sure. Keeping the content the same in Centranos, I don't really have an issue with that. It is hard content, it's endgame content, it gives something for people to work towards, and I wouldn't want to see that particular objective ruined.
Almost as powerful. The skill changes will apply. Keep an eye out for the full update highlights. We'll feature a detailed infographic on these changes. It'll feature all the exact nuts and bolts changes on stats and skills, so you theory crafters can start scheming. That's almost everything, but we've got just enough time to show off.
Look at some of these champions. I think these champions look absolutely fantastic.
There's a terrible and
we got the banner holder coming for the Ogryn tribes.
Champion for the Ogryn tribes, and a
this guy looks fantastic in my opinion. Check this out.
New mythical champion for the Sylvan Watchers.
He is a mythical that transforms into like a demon raven or something like that as his alternative form, with just kind of a cool looking archer guy as his regular form. I love this. This is probably going to be one of my most wanted mythicals, because I do definitely prefer looks over actions when it comes to mythicals, because they're so rare. I just want one that looks cool. So this guy's definitely going to be towards the top of the list, that's for sure.
And hey, does that look like the Arbiter?
Not really. I don't think it does.
A hefty update.
Are they referencing something else, do you think?
8.60. In the meantime, don't forget to like the video.
That is the new update notes that we have coming for 8.60. I am very excited to see how this one plays out. Let me know down below what your guys' thoughts are, if you think this is a net positive for the game. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.